Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we are introducing Crumb Carnage. That's right, Crumb Carnage. We're actually going to make use of all our crumbs that we have in our studio and try to eliminate as many crumbs as we can. The objective here is to empty bins, or at least thin them out from over exploding. Now, we've got a few different ideas for this, so we'll work on it one color at a time so that you have a chance to play along if you'd like. But I have a bunch of different ideas, and we'll just have a lot of fun sharing. So, but before we get into the Crumb Carnage, because we're going to start with green, because I already started with green, I would like you to go check out Lauren from the Coffee Cake Quilt Company. I'm sorry, Lauren. She does not know this show is coming. So when you go over there and you see what you like, and she's doing all sorts of fun blocks, and you see what you like, tell her that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you, and we're wishing her well with her YouTube channel. So this is going to be one of those fun little challenges that we did with the Orphan Block Challenge. Now, also in the show notes below, you're going to find Lauren's YouTube channel link, but you're also going to find our Facebook link and our Zoom So-Date link. Now, the Zoom So-Date is from now until December, and that is that's a good link for people to use. And it's a very international community and that shows up, and it's so much fun. We have a great day when we're doing that. Now, the other thing you're to find is that Facebook group link, and if you're part of Facebook, please go join that link, because the ladies there, the people over there are just having a great time. We're making use of the virtual sew room, we're doing fabric exchanges now, we're doing community chats, and we're asking questions, and of course we're showing pictures of the quilts that we're working on. It's been a lot of fun, and it's a wonderful, quickly growing community, so you want in on that. And the members, because they're sitting in the sewing room and sewing together, are actually becoming friends. So come on in, we're starting with green. Okay, Crumb Carnage, green, right? I mean, okay, this was my green bin, and yes, you know, it's a fairly good sized bin for my crumbs, and they're about hand size. That's what I keep, and sometimes I'll go through and I'll just, okay, we got to annihilate this because it's getting too full. So I sew crumbs blocks as I go sometimes, but you know, I got a little busy, and you know, things weren't happening. So what happened is this bin was overflowing, and it was getting heavy, and I thought it would break the handle off. So what I did is I poured everything out on my cutting mat, and this is how many 2" by 3.5 inch bricks that I was able to make from that little adventure. Now I've got this bin half full of green, and I'm going to be making potato chip blocks out of that, but that's okay. We'll just set that aside for now, and we can show you in the next color what we did. We've also been sewing crumb blocks, the start of crumb blocks. But what I find is, as I'm sewing these crumb blocks, I find that it's just as easy to throw in the strings too, right? Some of your strings. Like when I cut through all of that, I ended up with a mitt full of strings, right? Well, I don't need a mitt full of strings because I already have a mitt full and then some of strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a basic block, basic crumb block. Now, it does not have to be fancy. It does not have to be, you know, anything here. You know, I tend to keep my stuff a little bit more on the square side, and like a paler color like this has bits of green in it, I just put them together, and I just start sewing them together. This is not a job, you know, to be stressed out over. This is just run them through, don't worry about anything, it'll be fine. My favorite saying now, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. Okay, just run it through like that. Oh, that was a wannabe crumb that was sewn on the wrong way. And the last one. Now, I'm not going to make you guys watch through all this. I'm trying to be respectful of your time as well. Now, when your crumbs are this small, what you can do, I prefer to press that seam open, because these crumb blocks get a lot of little edges. Now that one is too long, you just trim it off just like that. Put it into your garbage, not garbage, pet bed stuffing. And you kind of want to make them a little bit on the square-ish side. So this one's not quite square-ish. Square-ish are easier to sew together for some reason, for me. So anyways, I've got these two. And of course, that's not really square-ish either. And there. This is not a precise science, by the way, in case you're wondering. Now, you can start putting these together like this, or you can put them like this. Now, I'm going to show you my favorite trick. I can get a longer string, right side up. Ah, and the cat's come to visit. Oh, yay, the cat has come. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them on top of the string and line them up in no particular order. But I do want to cross that seam, right? Just to make sure it lies flat. Okay, this is a little off square. There we go. Yeah, pet bed. He heard pet bed and he's like, oh yes, Mommy, I'll take another one. That's why the cat wandered in. Okay, and it's not square here. This is a job when you're, kind of, okay, I'm a little stressed out. What am I gonna do to relax myself? And now this is not quite long enough, but that's okay. You see, because I have more of these that I can put in. And I can take this one little piece off the string and I can sew it on with, I would hold on to this and maybe make another crumb from, let's say, putting this together. Right? Okay. There. And I would put, they're kind of the same size, so I'd put them together right away. I know you're sitting there thinking, oh God, this would never end. Well, it's sometimes when you've let it go as long as I have, yeah, it seems like it's never going to end. But you have to decide now what size you're going to make this to. Because what I've done is I've put all of them together, and I've gotten them all now to the 3, like 1, 2, 3. And I can continue with this and just make sure I'm crossing a seam. It doesn't matter which way they go, by the way. It does not matter, But you can put them through. I just don't, myself, when I'm doing crumb blocks, the only thing I want is I do not want colors to touch that are the same color, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to straighten this out. There we go. And you got another piece. That's too small. Okay, we'll save that. And you just start now, as you're going around these, that's all you're doing. You're just going around. Now, I know that kind of seems mindless, but sometimes when you come into your sewing room, and especially after you've had a stressful day, it's nice to come in and not do something hard. Sewing is supposed to be about fun. So anyways, now, at some point I would take these all and press them, because they're getting a little, and you would just continue on this little path here until you get to a 6.5 inch size, let's say, because I have a ruler that's exactly 6.5 inch, and I'm going to leave that there. I can't use that. Oh, we can use this. Oh, that's great. Okay, that's great. Let's get that on there. And you just continue on until you ran out of stuff to sew together, right? But I add in my strings, and when I do, and as I'm cutting through them, I'll notice that, okay, these two go together because they're about the same size, and it's not that much waste, right? But anyway, so let me get a couple of strings here, string blocks that I've already, or not string blocks, crumb blocks, up to the 6.5 inch size. And you just keep adding strings. You could do it this way, just by doing this. You can also, if you wanted to, you could start sewing them together. You know, that's another thing that some people do. They just find it, you know, easier. Don't forget to add in your whites. The white, like you can just throw in white with green back, or green but with white background. The lighter colors add light to your work, and that way your work's not getting too dark. So let me come back and I'll show you what this kind of looks like. There we go, we got these two we can sew together. Okay, let me show you what this looks like once we get more rounds done. Okay, so you can see these blocks. Now, instead of doing strings just like by strings, you can also sew these together or poverty piece them or whatever. Now I have two blocks here lined up, and I'm just going to line them up just like so. Because I made them a little bit bigger because my string said I could. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up and do this without whacking my head on the camera. That would be good. Okay. There. So now we're just going to cut them to 6.5. Now I'm not even going to move, and you see guys, I'm cutting them 2 at a time, right? Like I am cutting them quickly. Okay, and I'm just going to move this in, line everything back up because my ruler slid around a bit. Now I wouldn't suggest doing more than 2 at a time, but that's up to you, your confidence level on how you cut. But this is what I have now. I'll just get this ruler out of the way. Okay, so these, now I can take and I can line them up any which way I want. When I'm doing this, I'm going to put white sashing in between them, so it gives a place for the eye to rest, and it gives it a little more space, right? So I'll have nice big blocks, you know, a nice big quilt block, you know, when I'm done. I've got a few more to sew and a few more to sew. They do work faster doing them 2 at a time, but pull out your strings. Don't be afraid to mix your strings and your crumbs out, because like I say, by the time you finish, you know, doing like a few of these, it's just, they're really cute and they're really fast, and you're getting some very interesting looking blocks. Now, I had lots of these, so this will take me a while to dig through, and then these blocks don't, once they're trimmed like this, they don't go back in. They stay out, and we're, like I say, we've decided 6.5 because my ruler, which isn't really a ruler anymore because it's so, it's been used so often and so well loved, and the actual lines are coming off, and there's parts here where there are no lines. So this is a nice little template for 6.5, right? So I thought, okay, we'll show you this. And like I say, I do mix them up. Anything that I'm throwing out goes into pet beds. So there's no waste, really. So, and I clip, you know, the excesses off as I go, so that kind of speeds up my quilt, my process. Now I did, as I was making these 2 blocks, I ended up with a couple other little crumbs now that I can sew together or whatever. I also found some crumbs that are not green, so they can go into a different box, that's fine. But it's just kind of like crumb management. This is one idea, just one, okay? Now I like to just to recap the ideas we did. We did the potato chip blocks at 2 by 3.5. We did crumb blocks and just random sew it together, hope for the best kind of, and they're fun. Okay, so we'll get back to that ta-da moment. Okay, so this is our big ta-da moment. We did pull some lighter fabric in, and some of it very pale green, but it's white with green markings on it, so we'll be pulling that. We've got a big stash of white strips there. We'll probably be throwing some in there, and when it starts looking a little too dark, we'll start adding like a white strip with background white or cream with green leaves or something, right? Just to lighten the block up so the work doesn't get too dark. But this is where we're at, and it didn't take long to make 2 blocks. It really didn't. They do work quickest when you do them 2 at a time, but I have a lot of them, so I'm doing them in bulk. Now, like I say, I pulled out all of my green strings as well for this task because I didn't think I'd have enough green strings, so it's going to get through a bunch of older stuff, older fabric that's been kicking around in my sewing room for a very long time. And I'm not worrying about shape, right? Because you sew it on, you cut it off, right? Or you trim it. So this will get through a lot of odd little pieces like this that, you know, they're not rectangular or whatever. They're kind of like more, you know, kind of like wonky shape. That'd be a perfect project for them. So I hope until we meet again, you have an absolutely terrific week in your sewing room. This challenge is going to be a little bit crazy, but a whole lot of fun. So come on in and join us, okay? Now, you take care. I hope everything goes great. Okay, bye! My husband and I would love to thank you for all of the amazing people that we have met along this crazy YouTube adventure that we've been having. We do free speaking engagements too, so if you're part of a guild and they're looking for, you know, people to talk and, you know, and chat with, you know, in their monthly meetings, tell them that I'm doing free ones just to help the guilds out, because it's been a tough time for the guilds as well. You know, share, like, and subscribe with your friends. You know, make sure that they're, you know, they get the word out on us. That's the best way you can do to help us out. So until we meet again, I want to thank you. Okay, goodbye.